Hey pals, I am waiting for my video to finish processing, like my video for my main channel. So I was like, hey, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do another book review for my alt channel pals. For Mother's Day this year, Indy got me a Kindle, which I'm really into. I really think I like it. I know that Kindles have been a thing for a really long time, but I just got my first one and I really like it. So I used the Libby app to hop onto my library, the Oakland Public Library, and I just looked at like what's available right now. I just want to like dive right in and start reading a book. And the first one that I saw that I recognized was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. Jennette McCurdy. And I was like, oh, I heard of that. Like I saw the cover is very meant to grab your attention. And in my head, when I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, she's like a comedian, I think, who had a horrible mom. So this is like her memoir of having a horrible mom. And like, you know, you look at the cover, it says like impressively funny. I'm looking at the cover now because I'm like, did I imagine this? But no, it's pitched as like a funny book. Like the picture's funny. Everything about this is like, oh, this is going to be like, obviously she had a horrible upbringing, but you know, she's going to address it with insightful wit. Okay. So I was very wrong. I gave this right after I finished. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, but thinking back, I feel like that was a pity review because I genuinely feel really bad for this woman. So she's not a comedian. She's not even funny. She's not funny. She's not funny. The writing's not funny. The situation, nothing about any of this is funny. Except for the title and the cover. The book cover is funny, but that's where it begins and ends. She's actually a Nickelodeon child star. This is all, you know, I was an adult by the time Nickelodeon started pumping out child stars. So I kind of missed this, but she was on iCarly. Like I've heard of that title. She wasn't iCarly, if that is a person, but she was like, she played the best friend. And her mother, according to her memoir, her mother really pushed her into acting from a young age. She had no interest in it. It made her sick to do it. And her mom also taught her how to have an eating disorder. And so, yeah, it's like the story of her life. And, you know, it's a memoir, so there's going to be situations that aren't word for word exactly as they happened. But, like, so like she lived a terrible life. And like, what makes me even less excited to criticize this book is that, sorry, I don't know why all of a sudden I can't talk. She didn't want to be an actor, and now it seems like, oh, she's pivoting. She's a writer now. And I don't want to be the one to be like, yeah, you're not good. You're not good at that. You shouldn't do that. But in my opinion, she's not a good writer. This isn't good writing. It's written like someone in Arrested Development, not the show, but someone who stopped emotionally maturing around the age of 12, you know, which makes sense because she was abused by her mother, and puberty was very difficult on her because she had an ED, and you know, she was pulled out of, well, she was homeschooled. Like the whole thing's just a mess. Her childhood was a mess. So it makes sense that she would be kind of stuck there. But that's how this book is written. It's written like a 12-year-old wrote this, basically. So the language, like the writing, it's just not good. The dialogue is not good. And like I say, it's a memoir. So in a memoir, if you're not aware, it's not an autobiography. A memoir is a fictionalized kind of autobiography in which you give the author some license to write dialogue the way that they kind of remember it happening. But this dialogue sounds like something no human would say. And then the other problem with it is that the name of the book is I'm Glad My Mom Died, but she goes through, like, there's all of this child abuse, and then her mom dies, and then she eventually gets therapy. And one therapist like broaches the subject of like, hey, maybe your mom wasn't like through all of this, like she thinks her mom is the greatest person on the planet. She would die for her. And then at some point, a therapist suggests maybe your mom wasn't so great. And she immediately drops that therapist. And then there's like 20 more pages and then the end. And it's like, we don't actually see her transition from, I thought like my mom was the center of my world. And then I eventually learned that she abused me. Like we don't get any of that. That's missing. And like, maybe, I don't know, maybe she hasn't really done that work. Maybe she just doesn't want to share it with us. But like, that's kind of what the cover of the book, I'm judging the book on its cover. No, that's what the cover of the book, that's what the title of the book, that's what the premise of the story teases, and we just never get it. So I'm going to leave my 3-star review because like the thing gets like nothing but, 5-star reviews on Amazon and Goodreads and whatnot. So I don't, my 3 stars will bring it down enough, I think. So it's a bit of a pity review. I will say this, it was a quick read. So very easy read because again, it's written by a 12-year-old. So it's like there's no big words. There's no metaphor. There's nothing to sit and ponder. It's what it is. So I think is this the first book I've read that I would not recommend in these book reviews? Yeah, like I was a little critical of some things about Neuromancer, but yeah, this is the first one that I just like, I wouldn't recommend it. It's mostly just trauma. It's traumatic for me personally to read about this person's trauma. So, yeah, that's it.